Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out. Let's be blunt. This has been one of the most unique times in the history of the world. And as theatrical and over the top as that comes off, let's think about, what do we need to do in the workplace? What do we need to do for our employees? And I think back to my certification with emotional intelligence, EIQ with MHS, I go to some fundamental areas of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation. And I think, how do we help people do that? Now, I cannot tell you over the last couple weeks, if not the past month or so, how many times I've heard people say, oh my gosh, I'm so fatigued with these online meetings. And people are wondering why. Well, staring at a computer all day and being attentive, the new attentive, it kind of shows us what we do in our staff meetings, right? Sometimes we're not as attentive. We're peeking at our phone. We can kind of turn away. Now all of a sudden there's this thing called a webcam staring at you, and it kind of holds you accountable. And it is fatiguing. I'm fatigued. And it gets you thinking, what do our employees need? What's going to motivate them? Look, let's be blunt. We have employees whose spouses, family members have been hit by this crisis. There's stress, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's also excitement. A lot of companies are pivoting. It's all over the board. And I think back to my days at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, where I got a degree in adult education, and I had an emphasis on evaluation systems and self-directed learning. I love self-directed learning. Self-development is one of the most powerful things we can do. Now look, I am all for e-learning system. I'm all for video-based training systems. I am all for training departments with great instructors. Yet I think we've really kind of forgotten about a very fundamental thing that people like to do, and that's learn on their own. I want to give you an example. We had a client over 10 years ago, and their efficiency rates, their metrics, not ours, were really, really down. They were really low. And they were talking about doing a 2-day time management program. And I sat there and I thought, okay, hold on a second. We're talking about years of efficiency, and struggles, and we're going to throw a 2-day workshop at them. We're going to lose efficiency by being outside of our work zone in this all-day workshop. And I think about that and I go, no, what's going to happen after the workshop? People are going to run back to work. There's going to be a pile of papers on their desk. They're going to have to catch up. So now their association with the training is what? Oh my gosh, I'm behind. They're not thinking about, how do I apply what I just learned? They're thinking about catching up. So what we did is we got everybody in the company. I think there was about 400 employees at this company at the time. And we got everybody a copy of 7 Highly Effective Habits by Stephen Covey. And then what we did is we had rotating groups. And every 2 weeks you had to go to a group that you were assigned to. No management personnel. And we had everybody come, and the assignment was you had to share a chapter that you had read. And so there would be a chapter assigned in a given period of time. That chapter that you had to read, you were assigned to share 2 things. 1, what did you learn from the chapter? 2, what are 2 things you successfully applied to your work as a result of reading that chapter? Now, there's a little bit of peer pressure because you had to go to the session. You didn't know who else was going to be there. So what happened is the unknown created a little bit of, I better make sure I read this. I better make sure I can talk intelligently. Something funny happened. Nobody ran the sessions. We didn't have a chairperson. We didn't have a manager. We didn't have a trainer. They became self-contained, and people started talking about their efficiency. We had people from other departments talking about what they applied as a result of reading the book. The amazing thing, within 6 months, their efficiency metrics, not ours, went up 31.5%. Well, here's the amazing thing. We had no tactical training. So what we used is something called self-development. We used a book. Then number 2, we had an accountability activity. You had to share. Number 3, what did we use to share? Group coaching. Number 4, we created independent thinking, critical thinking. People got into these rooms and kind of looked around in these circles and thought, who's leading this meeting? You are. And it seems so simple. So I am not against e-learning. I'm not against training. Yet I think we have forgotten one of the most fundamental things we can do for our people. Give them dedicated learning time. Give them time to learn and read or watch video. Have an article of the week. Get them away from this thing called a computer. Look, we're going to have to do virtual meetings. We're going to be doing more work virtually. We all know that. It's going to be the quote-unquote new normal, depending on your company. Yet one of the great things you can do is to take time to explore. So recently, I had one of my employees who's got a really strong graphics background, and she really hasn't explored it to the level I think she could have at one point. But, she's a mom, and so I said, you know what, look, you've been doing a lot of grinding type work. Why don't you take a week and just learn PowerPoint? Just explore it. And her voice a week later sounded different. I just put her in charge. I said, look, I want you to demonstrate it at some point. I want you to teach me what you've learned. So there's an accountability action. And here's the cool thing. She was so enthused and energetic. She goes, I can't wait to show you what I learned. Now, good employee, great employee. But I haven't heard that out of her mouth in a while. And that's on me. So again, self-development can actually fuel something that is so talked about, so often missed in training and learning programs, and that's accountability. Have somebody read a book and then have them teach you. Have somebody learn and demonstrate to you. Self-development, self-directed learning that is assigned is one of the healthiest things we could do for our employees today. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21 day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.